If you blinked during the 2024 season, you might have missed the fact that Caitlin Clark was the WNBA. She wasn't just a rising star. She was a whole damn constellation. Jersey sales? Sold out. TV ratings? Through the roof. Suddenly, the WNBA was the talk of ESPN, Twitter, and your uncle's Facebook timeline. Corporate sponsorships were raining down like confetti at a championship parade. The Caitlin Clark effect was real, tangible, and, frankly, priceless. But now, that golden girl glow, it's cracking. And what's underneath is a whole mess of broken systems, bruised bodies, and one very public ultimatum.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Because here's what just went down. After a brutal 2025 season filled with injuries, fouls that looked more like street fights, and a level of hostility that would make a Real Housewives reunion look tame, Caitlin Clark has announced she's looking at Europe. That's right. Overseas offers are pouring in, and not just any offers. We're talking deals worth way more than her current WNBA contract, complete with better facilities, more rest, actual medical support, and get this, respect. The clock is ticking. And unless the WNBA makes some major changes, Caitlin's out. Not just her either. She's planning to take teammate Sophie Cunningham with her. That's 2 top-tier players gone. Just like that. And this isn't some vague, I'm weighing my options fluff. This is a line in the sand. She's locked into 2026, but she's made it very clear. If the league doesn't fix its player safety issues, clean up the toxic culture, and start treating its stars like the investments they are, then she's gone. Pack the bags. Board the plane. Say goodbye to American hoops. So how did we get here? It all started with the hype machine. After dominating at Iowa, Clark entered the WNBA with the kind of buzz usually reserved for Super Bowl quarterbacks and boy band comebacks. She had the range, the handles, the charisma, the endorsements. She was the moment. And the WNBA? They knew it. They built their entire marketing strategy around her. Every highlight reel, every promo, every broadcast was dripping with Caitlin Clark energy. She was everywhere, which made it all the more obvious when things started going south. Because behind all the glitter and glam was a league that wasn't ready. Physically, the WNBA season is brutal. Back-to-back games, tight travel schedules, minimal recovery time. And for someone like Clark, who plays with high intensity and a target on her back, it was a recipe for disaster. She started racking up injuries. Quad strain, groin pull, torn groin. She missed games. Fans got nervous. Sponsors started fidgeting. And when she was on the court, let's just say some players were more interested in making a statement than playing basketball. Flagrant fouls, body checks, elbows that wouldn't look out of place in the UFC. And then there were the undertones, the racial commentary bubbling under the surface of online debates and media narratives. It got ugly fast. You could see it in her face during pressers. The energy was off. The spark was flickering. This wasn't the joyful, trash-talking college queen we knew. This was a star player burning out in real time, dragged down by a league that didn't or couldn't protect her. And while Clark was getting battered on the court, the WNBA was feeling it in the wallet. Ratings? Down. Ticket sales? Slipping. The glow faded as quickly as it arrived. Because here's the hard truth. Without Caitlin Clark in the spotlight, the league couldn't sustain the momentum she created. And now, she's fighting back. But not with shade. With strategy. Her announcement wasn't some petty PR tantrum. It was a blueprint. She laid out exactly what the league needs to fix. Player safety protocols, actual mentorship structures for rookies, and an end to the toxicity that turns every court into a battleground. She's not just threatening to leave. She's given them a roadmap for how to keep her. And honestly, good for her. Because while some fans are wringing their hands and whispering about loyalty, Clark is doing something that's long overdue. Putting herself and the future of women's basketball first. She knows her worth. And she's not going to let a broken system drag her down. Meanwhile, European teams are practically throwing money at her. Private jets, bigger paychecks, longer off seasons, A league that doesn't make you play 3 games in 5 days on a bus. And don't even get started on the fan culture. It's rabid over there. Imagine Caitlin Clark dropping threes in Barcelona or Milan. Yeah, that's where this is headed. And the ripple effects? Devastating. If Clark and Cunningham bolt, we're looking at a projected 45% drop in viewership, ticket sales, and sponsorship dollars. That's not just a dip, it's a cliff dive. The league's already walking a tightrope, and without its biggest draw, it might not survive the fall. So, what's the league doing? Well, not much yet. There's been some vague language about taking her concerns seriously and reviewing policies, but no hard action, no new initiatives, no visible push for change. And that silence, it's deafening, because it tells us exactly what Clark's been trying to say. The league still doesn't get it. They want the clout. They want the cash. But they're not willing to do the work to keep their stars healthy, happy, and loyal. And let's be real here. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark. This is about a system that chews through players and throws glitter on the scraps. A league that uses its stars to drive revenue but doesn't invest in the infrastructure to support them. Clark is a canary in the coal mine, and the gas is thick. If they lose her, others will follow. Because Europe isn't just a fallback. It's a better offer. More money, more rest, more respect. Why wouldn't she leave? The irony? Clark isn't trying to tear the league down. She's trying to save it. Her demands aren't selfish. They're strategic. They benefit every player. They future-proof the league. They make sure the next breakout star doesn't burn out before their second season. She's fighting for mentorship because she had to learn everything the hard way. She's demanding player safety protocols because she's been on the floor too many times, clutching another torn muscle. And she's calling out the toxic environment because it shouldn't be normal to fear for your safety every time you step on the court. And yet somehow she's the one being called dramatic. Maybe she is, but drama gets attention. Drama sparks change. Drama sells tickets. And this time, the drama might just force the WNBA to grow up. So what now? The league has 2 choices, evolve or implode. They can implement real reforms, show their players they actually matter, and build a sustainable future. Or they can keep pretending everything's fine until their brightest star is lighting up a EuroLeague scoreboard in a whole different time zone. Caitlin Clark is not the first player to speak up, but she might be the one powerful enough to make them listen. And if they don't, well, the WNBA can wave goodbye to their ratings, their relevance, and maybe their future. Because you can't build a league on a star and then expect her to stay when you break her body, silence her voice, and shrug off her concerns. She showed up, she delivered, and now she's drawn a line. If you're shocked, you should be. Because this isn't just a basketball story. It's a business story, a culture story, a wake-up call. And whether the league answers or not, the clock is ticking. Let's be real. The Caitlin Clark Legacy Award for holding a whole league accountable is already in the mail. But what do you think? Is Clark right to threaten to move overseas? Will the WNBA finally listen? Or are we watching the slow fade out of its biggest star? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscribe button for more breakdowns of pop culture chaos. And don't forget to like if you're here for the drama and the truth. Because in this league, you've got to fight for your spotlight. And Caitlin Clark? She's not going down without a battle. Here's what people aren't saying out loud, but definitely thinking. If the face of your league is eyeing the exit, what does that say about the league itself? This wasn't a bench warmer throwing a fit. This is Caitlin freaking Clark, the golden child, the endorsement magnet, the walking ratings boost. She didn't just bring attention. She built the moment. And now, she's standing at the center of it with a blowtorch and a list of demands. Let's talk about that list for a second. First off, player safety. This one should be a no-brainer, right? But apparently, asking not to be body checked into the hardwood every other game is controversial. Clark has been on the receiving end of more uncalled fouls than a poorly officiated boxing match. And while fans were screaming from the sidelines, the league, mostly crickets. It's not just about one flagrant foul. It's about a pattern, a culture, where physical aggression is tolerated, even celebrated, as long as it's directed at the new kid on the block. A culture where protecting stars is an afterthought, not a priority. Imagine if LeBron, in his rookie year, got slammed to ground weekly with no whistles blown. Imagine if Patrick Mahomes was left to get hit play after play with zero intervention from the league. It wouldn't happen. Not in the NFL, not in the NBA, but in the WNBA, that's just another Tuesday. So Clark is saying, enough. She wants strict enforcement. Clear rules. Suspensions that mean something. Not just for her, but for every young star who comes up behind her. And speaking of young stars, that brings us to mentorship. Because here's the dirty little secret about being a WNBA rookie. Nobody prepares you for the whiplash. 1 minute you're the queen of college basketball. The next you're riding economy to your fourth away game in a week. Try and tape your ankle with a roll of hope and some ibuprofen. And that's if you're lucky. Clark's pushing for a mentorship program that pairs rookies with vets, helping them navigate not just the court, but the pressure, the fame, the politics, the burnout. Because make no mistake, this league will use you for PR. But when the cameras stop rolling and your groin is torn, you're on your own. And let's not gloss over the most uncomfortable issue of all, the hostility, the microaggressions, the whispered implications. The fact that Clark, as a white woman drawing enormous attention in a league dominated by black athletes, has become the center of a very complicated, very heated debate. Now, is that her fault? No. Is it fair? Also no. But the hostility she's faced, from players, fans, and even some commentators, has gone beyond basketball. It's turned personal, and it's made her a target. Some folks say she's just soft or can't take the heat. But honestly, if you were 23, injured half the season, carrying a crumbling franchise on your back, and still getting dragged every time you open your mouth, you'd probably consider Europe too. And let's not forget, this girl wants to play. This isn't about ego. She's not chasing luxury. She's chasing longevity. Overseas leagues offer better pay, better recovery time, better respect. They value their stars not just as athletes, but as assets. Which brings us to the next terrifying question no one wants to ask. What happens if more players follow her? Because let's be real. Clark isn't the only one watching her own highlight reel with a bag of ice on her hip, wondering if it's worth it. You think Sophie Cunningham is just tagging along for fun? She sees the writing on the wall. Overseas, they'll be treated like queens. Here, they're begging for charter flights and basic respect. And when those two go, don't be surprised when others start quietly calling their agents. Overseas contracts might start looking real cute to players who've been grinding for years with minimal payoff. It's not a domino effect. It's a damn avalanche waiting to happen. And that's the core of the issue. The WNBA has built its house on unstable ground. They chased the hype, plastered Clark's face on every billboard, promised the world, and then forgot to give her a sturdy floor to stand on. You can't sell her as the savior of women's basketball, and then let her get wrecked on live TV without backup. You can't profit off her image and ignore her voice. And you definitely can't expect her to risk her career just to keep your house of cards from falling. This is bigger than basketball. It's a reckoning, because for every Clark, there's a dozen players watching closely, taking notes, counting the bruises, and asking the same question we all are. Why stay in a league that doesn't protect you? And if the answer is, because you should be grateful to be here, well, that's not a league worth saving. That's a red flag wrapped in a business model. And look, we get it. Reform is hard. The WNBA is still growing. Budgets are tight. Visibility is fragile. But you cannot grow a league while driving your most valuable players into the ground. Literally. You want long-term success? Protect your stars. You want legacy? Build systems, not just storylines. Because Caitlin Clark's story has already taken a turn, and now the league is playing catch-up. Fans are torn. Some call her a quitter. Others call her brave. The truth? She's a realist. She's seen behind the curtain. And she's not afraid to walk away if it means protecting her body, her brand, and her future. And whether you love her or love to hate her, one thing's clear. She just forced the WNBA to look in the mirror. And the reflection? Not cute. So here we are. A 23-year-old athlete is single-handedly dragging a 28-year-old league to its crossroads. One path leads to reform, reinvestment, and real growth. The other leads straight to irrelevance. And here's the kicker. The league still has time. The ultimatum has been issued, but the clock isn't at zero yet. They could step up. They could meet the moment. They could turn this PR nightmare into a turning point. But they have to want it as badly as Clark used to, because right now, she's halfway out the door. And unless they start listening, not just nodding and smiling, but really listening, she won't be the last to leave. So the next time someone tells you Caitlin Clark is overreacting, just remember, she's not fighting against the league. She's fighting for a version of it that actually deserves her. And if they can't give her that, she'll go find it elsewhere. She has the offers. She has the leverage. She has the power. And if the WNBA won't change for her, it may not survive without her. The WNBA says it wants to grow. It says it's ready for mainstream success. It says it wants to invest in its players. But when it actually got what it's always wanted, a generational star who brought in new eyes, new money, and new momentum, it fumbled the bag so hard it might take years to recover. Let's be honest. They treated Caitlin like a billboard, not a human being. They gave her media tours, magazine covers, and highlight reels, but no real protection, no structural support, no physical buffer from the on-court chaos. They marketed the brand, not the person. And now the person is saying, I'm good, I'm tired, I want better. And she should, because the backlash she's faced, absolutely wild. People are acting like Caitlin Clark owes the league, that she should be grateful for this opportunity, that walking away is some kind of betrayal. Let's flip that. What has the league done for her? She brought record-breaking viewership to the table, and they couldn't even guarantee her safe travel between games. She drew crowds the league hadn't seen in years, and they let her get body slammed without consequence. She gave them the moment, and they gave her a torn groin, a media circus, and silence. Gratitude goes both ways, or at least it should, and here's where it gets even messier. Because if Caitlin does leave and she takes Sophie Cunningham with her, what does that mean for the next rising star? The one watching this whole mess from her college dorm, thinking, do I really want to go pro here? This situation doesn't just impact Caitlin. It sends a message to every high-profile college player on the verge of going WNBA. The message? You're only valuable when you're performing. The second you speak up or slow down or get injured, you're expendable. And that is not the kind of legacy a league wants. Let's not forget, Caitlin is just the first domino. There are whispers. There's tension. There's a growing sense of we've had enough, simmering beneath the surface. If the WNBA doesn't act fast, they're going to be left with a roster full of talent and no stars to shine a light on it. Because without Caitlin, the spotlight dims, the momentum stalls, the brand weakens. It's not because she's the only talent in the league, far from it, but she's the entry point, the attention magnet, the crossover name that pulled in people who didn't even watch women's basketball before. You can't buy that kind of cultural relevance. You either nurture it or you lose it. And right now they're losing it. And here's the kicker. Clark doesn't even want to leave. That's what makes this so heartbreaking. She wants to stay. She wants to play here. She wants to be part of building something real. But she's not going to stay in a system that breaks her body and disrespects her voice. Why should she? Would you? She's laid out her terms like a professional. She's offering solutions. She's pushing for mentorship protection, infrastructure, not just for herself, but for the future of the game. And instead of rolling out the red carpet for her reforms, the league is tiptoeing around, issuing vague statements and hoping this all just goes away. Spoiler, it won't, because Caitlin Clark isn't backing down. And neither are the people watching. The fans? Furious. The media? Foaming at the mouth. Other players? Quietly nodding behind the scenes. There's a shift happening, and the league can't PR spin its way out of this one. They have to make a choice. They can keep squeezing every dollar out of Clark while pretending her body isn't falling apart and her voice doesn't matter. Or they can listen. They can change. They can step into the moment and become the league they say they want to be. Because let's get one thing straight. This isn't just a women's sports issue. This is a labor issue. This is a management issue. This is a wake-up call to every institution that thinks star power is enough to survive. You can't ride the wave and ignore the weather. Eventually, it turns into a storm. And that's exactly where we are now. We're in the eye of it. And the people in charge? They're still trying to check the weather app. Clark's ultimatum was crystal clear. Fix the system or she's gone. And if they ignore that warning, they deserve everything that comes next. The fallout, the ratings drop, the sponsorship losses, the public embarrassment, the long think pieces about how the WNBA fumbled a generational moment, the what could have been retrospectives, the angry fan reactions, the players trickling overseas, the new draft class quietly considering other paths. It'll all be on them. Because Clark gave them the chance to change the narrative. They just have to take it. But if they don't be shocked when you see Caitlin Clark lighting it up in Europe. Different jersey, different league, different continent, same star power. And guess what? That league will treat her like gold. Because they've been waiting for this moment. They know what she brings. They know what she's worth. And they're ready. Meanwhile, the WNBA will be left behind, still wondering how things got so bad so fast. Let me answer that for you. They got bad because you didn't listen. You didn't plan for sustainability. You planned for virality. And viral doesn't last. Caitlin Clark was your moment, and now she might be your lesson. And it's a painful one, because you can't build a future on hype and hope. You build it with structure, with support, with actual change. So yeah, Caitlin Clark just made a shocking announcement. But what's really shocking? That it took this long for her to say it. That she had to get injured multiple times, targeted publicly, disrespected on and off the court, and still be the one to draft the blueprint for a better league. She's the player, not the commissioner, not the union head, not the media rep. And yet, she's doing all the jobs because no one else would. She's not just playing the game, she's fixing it. And if the WNBA can't keep up, then Europe can have her. Honestly. Because if your league won't fight for its best, someone else will. Now, here's the final word. If you think this is just about one player, you're missing the point. This is about a league at a crossroads. A star trying to save the sport she loves. And a warning shot heard around the world of professional athletics. Caitlin Clark just drew the line. Now let's see who has the guts to cross it. If you made it this far, you're a real one. So tell me, what's your take? Is Caitlin Clark right to threaten to move overseas? Can the WNBA survive without her? Or is this the beginning of a long overdue revolution in women's sports? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more deep dives into the wild world of sports drama, celebrity chaos, and pop culture gone sideways. Because the game, it's changing, and we're just getting started.